My next guest tonight joining me on Punky's MixTape is hailing out of Rochester, New York. I'd like everybody to welcome to the show 20-something. How we doing?
Hey there.
Hello.
How's it going?
Doing good. Doing good tonight. Thanks for coming and hanging out on the MixTape. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Oh.
This is actually our first interview, so
Yeah, very cool.
we are taking.
Yeah.
I'll be gentle and loving and caring, and I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
We appreciate that.
And then you'll break apart in a few years.
You know, I just want to make sure it's a special for all of us.
Okay.
If I'd known it was your first, I would have lit a candle. So, from whoever wants to introduce yourself, feel free and tell us what you do in the band.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. I'm Adam. I play the rhythm guitars and I do the singing. Our bassist couldn't make it today, but we started writing music together way back when we were little kids, and now this is what it's led to.
I'm Ben. I play drums in the band. I joined in 2017 with Adam and Mikey, and I just kind of, I was hanging out. They said, let's hang out and play some music, and I ended up coming over and playing drums one day, and I don't know, everything just kind of kicked off from there. It was pretty cool.
I'm Connor. I play lead guitar, and I actually met these guys when I was in a different band, and we just vibed so well. I'm actually from Binghamton, so I'm like 2.5 hours away, and we just vibed so well, and we became best friends like immediately.
Yeah.
And they were looking for a little bit of extra sound, and I was down, and the drive feels like nothing, so it's a lot of fun.
What's funny about Ben joining the band is that we jammed for a little bit and he goes, so am I in the band, guys? And me and Mikey thought we were the ones trying out. We were so intimidated by Ben because he had already had the experience in the DIY scene, and it was a fun day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So for guests that might not recall, it was like probably a little over a month ago where we dropped a couple of your tracks that we played on the show here. But for people that may not be familiar, tell us a little bit about 20-something and the kind of band that you are.
I guess pop punk at the core. Our first EP was very easy core, a lot of breakdowns, and the songs that you played were off that first EP, Extraterrestrial. We kind of rushed that out just to be like, hey, here's some cool songs that we wrote. And like I said, it was very easy core, but our newer material is that you can really feel the growth in it, and we kind of all wrote the songs together at a much slower pace to just really try and put out a really good, I guess, product if you want to deduce it to that. But I guess pop punk would be what I would say.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I thought I was interrupting there for a sec.
No.
Okay. Now, so you've been a band for a couple of years now, is that correct?
Yes. 2017.
Okay, so 3 years, unless you not counting this year, which is just a scratch for everybody. But
Right.
So what has the road been like so far for 20-something?
Well, Adam initially started the band with Mikey and a few other friends way back, probably around like 2012 or so, you would say, right?
Yeah, and it was more of just like hey, here's a battle of the bands that we can go play. Excuse me, and that was like our only show experience. And then when Ben came and joined the band, he was like, so you guys want to play at the Bug Jar, which is a venue here in Rochester. And I was like, you can just ask them if we can play there. Like I had the thought that they would reach out to you, and so that was super exciting for me to learn that you could just kind of say, hey, we want to play here, and send them samples of your music. And then it's been an interesting journey. We did a 10-day tour last summer.
Yeah, that's actually how I met.
That's how we met Connor.
Yeah.
We did it with a band, Brighter Days. They're no longer together. And that was probably the wildest ride of my life, personally.
Yeah,
I had so much fun, and I can remember every day like it was yesterday.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, we saw a lot of stuff and
A lot of
got to go
ups
a lot
and
of places
downs.
we never
and-
thought we'd go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that tour, because we love tour stories here on the show.
Oh my god.
Oh, I don't know if it's safe for work. I don't know.
Oh, we're not safe for work channel. So that's
Well, I'll tell you my favorite story. The Brighter Days van broke down, and we were kind of stranded. And so Ben asks a Waffle House waitress if there's any bars nearby that play music, that have live bands. And there was this place called Last Call. The owner's name is John. He's the coolest guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I think we're all friends on Facebook with the bouncer and the bartender and John himself.
Yeah.
And so we ended up going there, and they were like, come on down. And we had a wild night. We sang some CeeLo Green with the crowd.
That was cool.
We drank way more than we should have.
Oh yes.
They sent us out the door with a bunch of their bar merch, and it was just like the day went from absolute bummer to 10 out of 10.
Yeah, because where were we supposed to be? We were supposed to play a show.
We were supposed to play a barbecue in Georgia.
Yeah.
That's right, and we broke.
And we
down
ended up in South Carolina.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
that's awesome. So you're outside of a Waffle House trying to find a venue, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, just call it this bar. It ended up being one of the best experiences.
Yeah,
I
I think
would say
it's only like 10 miles from where the hotel we were staying in, something like that. It was really close, but
I'd
it's out in the
say-
middle of nowhere.
that's the day where we really all started to mesh together and the tour really became very unified. I mean, the circumstance of the situation was so wonky. I mean, we dropped off a vehicle at a place where we weren't sure if we were going to get it back.
Yeah, it was like wrong turn type situation, and
yeah, very, very out of our element, just kind of going with the flow, and things just really felt right for all of us, and things just went really well for the rest of the tour after that. It was really cool.
I think that can be said because, I mean, before you really get into like a situation when you're, everything's good and it's very presenting self and you're having a good time, you really can't tell a lot about people you're spending time with. But when shit hits the fan and you actually have a crisis to deal with, you can look around you and see the people that you can actually count on. And it's awesome that that situation brought you closer together.
Yeah.
Definitely.
At the end of the tour, me and Connor were Tetris masters at loading the truck with all the gear.
oh, yeah,
That was fun too.
yeah,
Yeah.
we nailed it eventually. Yeah,
I pride myself on my gear loading skills. I'm just like, no, get that shit out of there. We can fit 2 more people in here. Come on. All right.
I've seen Ben fit all of our band's gear into a Ford Focus, and I never doubted him after that.
Half stacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear how proud he is? He's like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now, was anybody else in the vehicle with you, or is it just you in there?
Me and Ben.
Us and 2 other bands, but it was okay.
That's impressive. That's awesome. So, how have you guys been faring? Obviously, nobody's playing shows right now. We're all just kind of doing what we can. So, what has 20-something been doing during this pandemic time of ours?
Soul searching.
Oh,
Just really taking time to find ourselves. No, I would have to give a lot of credit to Ben here because he just he scrolls the internet and sends me conspiracy theories. And every once in a while he'll be like, hey, here's a cool thing we could do for the band. And, we'll come up with merch ideas and sticker ideas and just things to keep content flowing. Our best friends in early retirement do like the live streams.
oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
And that's super fun.
Played a live stream show.
that's been awesome to
That
be a
was
part
cool.
of that.
Yeah.
I'd say the last few months, what we've really been focusing on is just learning about releasing a record because we have a record coming out this October. And I'd say that the biggest thing we're learning is just how the art side of it really needs to be unified, and how if you can find a certain congruency between everything that you're releasing and what you have going on, it's a great representation of yourself, and it's just something that's essential towards releasing an album. Just going through the motions of learning that and, beating myself up a little bit because I wish I knew that before I started the process sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just looking back on everything, we've learned a lot all together, I think, as a band. And we're really, really excited for this release and the upcoming releases that we have. I think this is really going to be our first real good footprint, and hopefully with many more to follow.
Sometimes you don't really get to sit back and think about like the minute details when you're releasing songs in a record, because you may have a record ready to go, but you also have a show lined up every week. And it's like, obviously we have our weekly lives with work and the girlfriends or whatever. And being able to just kind of focus on social media presence as well as just the record in general and the best way to go. Just kind of making something from nothing. If you can't play shows, then what are you going to do? And I think we did a good job.
So it honestly, it definitely sounds like, even though you were kidding, but in most jokes there's a thread of honesty. Sounds like some serious soul searching went on, because you really took some time to, really be self-revealing with your art, put it in there. And it's something that's like a running theme here, that most people have taken that same type of journey, especially with their music right now, because there's not gonna, hopefully, I fucking hope not, be this much sort of downtime where things were with the lockdown and everything. Like, I've never had this much time to sit and explore my own music, and I'm sure like everybody else is in the same thing. But you nailed it. There's work, there's relationship, there's friendship, there's family, there's jobs, there's obligations. So when you're writing and playing shows, so you're trying to balance all of that out, and so you don't always get a chance to give it your 100% focus. Not like this. This was entirely different. It was like actually a lockdown, and you would, for me, nothing but my gear and my instruments around me. And it was, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm focused on. This is what I'm getting done. I don't think anybody will really have this much time, especially ones that are working class like us, that are, still maintaining jobs and doing the band and doing both at the same time,
Yeah. I think that regardless of what anyone's craft is, I think everyone's sort of gotten in touch with that. And I mean, in a funny way, it's almost like some sort of artistic renaissance or something like that, where everyone's really getting in touch with themselves and figuring themselves out. We've had a moment of clarity, I guess, to just take a breath and really figure yourself out and figure out what you want to do outside of a job and outside of everything else that's going on. I think that's one thing that I'm taking away from everything that's happened the past few months, I guess. And I think a lot of people are as well.
Yeah. It's definitely, yeah, I mean, hindsight, oh God, as soon as I said it, the pun is there. But hindsight is 2020. We've actually had that moment to step back and reflect on things. And for the most part, like, this metamorphosis that are people going, this shift in mindset, it's another push in an artistic revolution. And hopefully it's continues its momentum that's been building up this year.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, if you look at all the records that are coming out right now, I think everyone's really investing themselves in the artistic side of their record. There's multiple singles coming out. There's new logos and new branding and everything that everyone's really honing their skills with. And it's just a really, really cool time. I think all these smaller bands are really learning how to establish themselves.
I completely agree, because they're taking the time, they're able to do the research, they're connecting with other people, and people actually have the time to sit and have a conversation with one another. And it's a good chance for learning, growing, and developing exactly what you're doing. And if you're truly serious, then you're going to find a good outlet throughout all of this just to maintain, And you had mentioned something in that as well. So obviously, throughout all of this and all this soul searching, writing new music, you came up with a brand new album. What can you tell us a little bit about that?
What can we talk about?
We just released a single on September 4th. It's called Disregard. One of my close friends from high school, Corey Viera, did a lyric video for us, and it looks amazing. It kind of captures the whole, we're very into aliens,
outer space, and
and that was a really fun project to keep tabs on and work with him. And so yeah, that single is out now on all platforms. You know the deal. Spotify, Apple Music, and we are shooting, and it looks pretty solid for a October 30th release of the record.
Ooh.
We couldn't be more excited. We worked really hard on it, and we are excited for people to hear it and hopefully, be able to relate to some of the themes that we have there.
It was a cool process to do the record because, we started writing these songs, I'd say, early 2018, and we were still on the verge of releasing, I think, our first record, Extraterrestrial, when we started writing these songs. So we had a lot of time go by between when we started recording and now. I'd say that we recorded our drums and bass and rhythm guitar about 1.5 years ago now on the record, which we kind of sat on it, worked with it, felt out where we really wanted to go with the record, and made a move from there. We weren't sure if we wanted to get another guitarist or if we were going to be a 3-piece or not. Then through working with Connor and everything, we decided to make the move for a lead guitarist as well on the record and everything. And that really brought all the songs full circle, I would say. It's really, really exciting to see everything kind of change from something that we were hearing in one way, and then adding in this extra aspect of guitar, it just kind of really builds a whole new character to the music. And we're really, really excited about that. We're really excited to see what everyone else thinks about it as well. So
our producer, RJ DeMarco, he's Skyway Studios in Hamburg. He is a wizard.
Yes.
At the very least, a wizard. I swear he is 3,000 years old. But he was patient enough to let us sit there and just hear pieces over and over and over and say, well, maybe we could change one note, or let's change the whole thing. And he would work with us. He would clickety clack away. And at the end, when we got to the finished product, we were happy that we gave it 100% and didn't settle and just and found the sound that we wanted.
I think as well, personally, I've been working with RJ probably for 6 to 7 years now. He recorded my band way back when I was maybe 16 years old. I was one of his first clients, and this was way back at his parents' house in their basement and stuff. And it was cool doing that and just being in the studio. I never really had even perceived the idea of being in a studio, and he really taught me from the ground up a lot of studio etiquette and how recording is done and what routes you can take. And I don't know, it's just been cool to see the records that he's done since then. It's really cool to have him be a part of our record, and it's really cool to see the things that are going to happen in the future with him as well. So yeah,
that's awesome when you can get somebody. Because you can go to a lot of places and record and they're like, yep, cool, got it, all right, out, and they kind of shuffle you through. To actually get somebody to actually help understand your music, help produce it, and even develop it further, so you have that that extra bit of forethought and just that extra vision. To somebody else who's a neutral party, but give me the pieces and I'm just gonna do what I do and make it gold.
Yeah. He was so much more invested than you're paying me, I'll do what you say. He was there with us every step of the way to just make each piece sound good and cohesive, and that was really helpful for us and helped us learn as musicians as well.
Yeah.
Just to get that outside input on a song that we thought was good, and he says, well, here's how it could be a little better.
Yeah.
That was really good for us.
Yeah, there's just been so much help that he's given us really within the songwriting process and everything, and just developing ourselves as musicians and developing technique and everything. And it's just been eye-opening, and I really look forward to what we can offer in the future as well. The record's really, really great, but we're also looking forward to the future.
We're definitely excited to hear it. We're excited to be able to share the lyric video for Disregard with everybody tonight. So that's going to be really cool. Awesome. So you've been staying busy with the new record. And now, does this one continue to explore some of the skies unknown above, continuing with the UFO theme?
Yeah, you might see some stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Without giving away too much.
My lips are sealed. But, and that's awesome, because for me, I'm all about it. I can't help but think constantly, what if, all those different realm of possibilities, from a multiverse to extraterrestrial life to the exoplanet. So I'm a sucker for it. Every time we get amazing photos of Jupiter and stuff, I'm just awestruck by it. I sit here and watch the SpaceX launches like a little kid. I've always been fascinated with the skies above.
I feel like it's something where, you know, you can say, oh, this stuff isn't real, or you can just say it might be real. I mean, it's my version of having as much of an imagination as I can.
It's so big. The possibilities are enormous, like unimaginable possibilities out there, and we're all so small compared to the universe, and we don't even know if what's going on out there.
I've got Adam like completely convinced. I've sent him like videos of people like walking around in UFOs and stuff, like, you know, breaking into Area 51 and stuff like that. He's all in.
I said to my friend the other day, if there's a million videos on YouTube of UFO sightings and one of them is real, then, you know, there's your proof. If one of those UFOs is real, then UFOs are real.
Well, shit, even like low key, like back in April, the U.S. government's just like, here's some UFO footage that we're just gonna dump on you in the middle of a pandemic, like, and no one's fucking talking about it, like, whatsoever. Like, here's all these different documents, like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of unidentified craft that we got, and like, oh, let's listen to like the commentary on it, and like, oh, look at that fucking one, and they're just like, everyone's blown away by it, but like nobody's talking about it whatsoever.
I mean, my biggest thing is that it's jaw-dropping. I don't even think people can really comprehend what they're about to really find out in the next few years. I don't know what's going to happen, but who knows? I mean, they're throwing so much out there. I mean, this is really heavyweight in the UFO community. So
let's turn the tables here. What would you do if a UFO landed in your backyard right now? What would you do?
All right. So the first thing directly would be observation and try to lack stimulation. They're going to have to adjust to the environment, at least to my knowledge. So if they're going to drop in the backyard, it's instantly going to observation mode and how quiet can we observe. That's the biggest thing. So it's going to be like all eyes on the vessel, whatever it is, and it's like maintaining. And I want to see, especially if it's like daylight or anything like that, is it having any sort of an effect on the environment around it? So like, is it going to be radioactive for me to go and even to approach it, especially if it's in space? Because there's all sorts of different radioactivity, especially from prolonged exposure. So automatically, I'm not going to run up directly up to it, you know? So I want to observe. And say if it was like right in my backyard, there's a garden back there, but I'd want to make sure it was okay. And then there's a second garden back there, but I'd really want to make sure it's okay. So I'd have to do some reconnaissance first, and hopefully Garden 2 can help make for a proper exchange of peace and conversation.
Yep.
So I think I would, and so if there was, say, an alien, approaching me, obviously just intrinsically, just no hands, I don't know if you understand English, but I come in peace. I'm not bearing any arms. I'd spin around, identify myself. If they didn't understand, maybe I'd try to pose like the Da Vinci that was put on the side of the Voyager.
Yeah.
Do a little Da Vinci pose so they understand this is Earth. Unless they start speaking English, and then we can figure it out from there.
Yeah.
But so observe and report, and then a little bit of light reconnaissance if it landed in my backyard. But I would probably try to keep it as hush-hush and quiet as possible, because the last thing I want is just a big uproar, because I don't know how it's going to react. I've seen Mars attacks. All right, we come in peace. You throw a fucking dove at it, it starts a fucking war. It fucks everything all up.
You definitely don't want the aliens to start attacking you, because that's just we're not going to win.
No.
We're not going to win there.
No. You do not bring a knife to a photon fight.
That's true.
What would you guys do?
Math would be my preferred method of trying to communicate. I think.
Like contact. To start mapping out.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do.
Cry. I'd probably cry a little bit.
Probably have a heart attack.
Check on Garden 2.
Definitely check on Garden 2.
think my biggest thing is that if they're smart enough to not just eat me, then they'll be able to communicate with me in some way, probably.
Yeah, at least read my
And
thoughts.
they'll be
or
able
something.
to tell whether I'm hostile. And like, if they're gonna take me out anyway, they'll probably just zap me regardless. So
Yeah.
If I meet an alien, it's a really, really crazy thing to say. My biggest goal in life, I'm shooting for the stars.
Anal
I would
probe.
love no
Anal probe.
Close. That's number 2. Definitely number 2. But no, I want to shake hands with an alien before I
that'd be
die.
rad.
Like,
That'd be
dude,
rad.
if it ever happens, if there's aliens out there, I'm trying to shake their hands. I'm trying to shake your hand, alien, watching this live stream.
If you're watching this, if the transmissions are going far enough,
Yeah.
and I'm right there. Honestly, take me with you. All right. I've
Yep.
seen a good portion of what this world has to offer, and if it keeps heading in the direction of, let's go check out the rest of the universe. I'm cool. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I'm so down with that. I'm right there with you. Shaking hands with an alien, it'd be an honor.
It's something. I mean, it's wild to think that it could even happen, but if you get the opportunity, I want to do it.
Well, that depends. If on what level do we get, of said alien? Are they, like a xenomorph? Are they like friggin' Ted? Or
Okay.
Paul? Paul. There we go.
I mean, it's tough to say.
Yeah, who knows?
If they're like Paul, then I'm all set because they landed in the right garden.
Yeah. That movie was so good. Oh man, forgot about it.
It's definitely it's got rewatchability all over it. Anything with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, I'm all about.
Definitely.
Oh man, exploring the stars, and that's gets a great question. People need to be planned for it because you never know what could happen. I've said for a while that I thought that first contact, if done right, could be the moment that unifies this planet.
Yeah.
Hopefully not one on a unified front of war, but a unified front of peace and education and technology. Kind of like, have you seen The Arrival?
No.
Oh,
I have not.
No.
Do yourself a favor. I'm not going to say anything about it, but that is one of the best first contact movies that I've seen. It's really good.
Arrival.
And then hit me up later and be like, dude, Punky, you're absolutely right. The Arrival was fucking awesome. So it's got hot, old hot guy in there, friggin' from the Avengers. What the hell's his name? Hawkeye. Jeremy Renner. It's got Jeremy Renner. Yeah, hot guy.
I was like, hot guy, you're not
Yeah,
really.
hot guy with the arrows. Hot guy.
All hot.
That's his superhero name, right? What's your ability? I scowl and I'm handsome. But it's got Jeremy Renner in it. He's really good. I forget who it stars. She's awesome. It's a really good movie. But if I had to make a UFO movie suggestion, definitely watch The Arrival. You should watch it together because you'll be like, oh, fuck. It's really good. It's a little long, but it's really good. So, anyways, talking UFOs, no conspiracy theory there. I don't think we're alone whatsoever. There's no conspiracy there. I mean, the U.S. government dropped the cat out of the bag. I mean, there was a couple of years before that, the Canadian government said some things and they released some footage. It's happening. It's just a matter of time. And hopefully, in my opinion, I got my fingers crossed for Star Trek future. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That would be ideal.
I don't like that. Scotty just blew me up, man.
Scotty.
So now to completely divert back to music related things, but that's what this show is all about. To seeing where the skies take us. Usually it's the roads, but this one we're headed into the fourth dimension on this one. I dig it. So now besides random van breakdowns and things like that of that nature, what's some of the most wild thing that's happened on the road so far, or even at a show? What's your craziest show memory?
One of my favorite shows I've ever played was with 20-something when we went and played. I honestly, this moment was like super special for me, and it was super sad at the same time. But I don't know. It was a moment, and I don't know. It's just a weird thing. We were in West Virginia. We went and played this show. My buddy Gage, he was trying to start up a place called Thunderbirds, which was a local DIY venue, and it was all ages and everything. Just a really cool, chill youth center space that just hosted shows and stuff. He was working on setting that up, and this was when 20-something was like really, really new. He goes, yeah, so I'm throwing this show with like Forever Came Calling, and there's a band called Bloom on that show who was like the
Ex-members from Transit.
yeah.
Oh wow.
And we went there, and so this show we really didn't know what we were going into. We rented a U-Haul, we threw all our gear in it, and we just went to West Virginia. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to West Virginia. It's a different state, definitely. There's a lot of mountain and stuff up there. It's really, really cool to see. Definitely very rural and all that, and it's cool. But we show up to this place, and it's a big like youth center, and we think we're playing in a gymnasium and stuff. So we carry all our gear up to the top of this stair set after our buddy Gage gets there. We've been hanging out like all day, like just dying because I don't have any AC in the back of the U-Haul, and mostly just that. Adam and Mikey were fine for the most part, and I was just sweating my ass off and enjoying the day. But anyway, we went up the stairs to this gymnasium, and we looked at it, and there's this giant wrestling ring. And I'm like, what is this? And I see the lights go on and everything, and like, this is where we're playing for the night. And I think we have a picture of on like our
In the
Instagram.
ring?
Yeah, we played in the ring.
I never heard that.
It was crazy. Yeah.
That's really
They took
cool.
down the ropes and everything like that. And so it was like this, I forget, it was 2017 or 2018. I think Forever Came Calling just released like one of their final EPs or something like that. And I remember standing there like after we played a pretty good set, I think, that night. It was really fun. We just were vibing out. Like all the bands were really, really cool. It was a big festival. There was like 10 or 12 bands. Forever Came Calling was playing, I think, and I remember thinking to myself, like, not that the scene is over by any means, but I think like that moment for me was defining like the end of that 2012 through 2015, 2016 pop punk era where like, you know, What You Don't See came out. There was the State Champs record that came out.
Finer Things.
The Wonder Years came out with Suburbia and all that. And like, I just feel like that era of pop punk was just such a strong movement. And Forever Came Calling was another band that kind of really started that. I mean, if you look back on how they started, I mean, they were just following around Warped Tour the first summer that they were trying to be a band, I think. And they did a documentary on it, and they kind of hit it off from that. And that was just super cool. I mean, they were around with like Such Gold and Transit and all those guys. And it was just cool seeing like the ex-formation of Transit and seeing Forever Came Calling playing this giant show. And I mean, like, there's maybe like 30, 40, 50 kids there or something. And like, I just remember thinking like this show would have been huge, like maybe 5-6 years ago. This show would have been packed. And not that the scene was dying, but in that moment, I felt like this is just the end of an era in a certain way. And that was just super defining for me. And not that things are done by any means in pop punk and in alternative music, but I think that now it's time for a bunch of new bands to really set themselves up to do the same thing that those bands did way back in like, you know, 2008, 2009 and all that. It just was a weird moment. I mean, it was a dull time in the scene, I think, definitely. But I don't know. That was a really impactful show for me, I think, with 20-something.
Well, especially where you kind of hit it right, because there's always a flux of things. It doesn't matter the genre that you play, you know. Sometimes it's the most predominant thing, and, you know, every, you know, venue you play is at like 80% capacity, and it's amazing, you know, but you know, things fluctuate from time to time. And I think you definitely nailed it when you said that it's definitely now there's going to be this new flood. It's kind of a new era coming in. And I would definitely say that the last few years have definitely been a flux period. People have been trying out different things, experimenting new ideas. We're seeing a lot of different cross genres, you know, which is awesome. People are taking risks because they're trying to find that next thing, whatever it is, you know, and they're going to stumble upon it just from the experimentation and the risks that are being taken right now.
I think as well, I mean, to touch back on what we talked about earlier, everyone kind of found themselves through the coronavirus period, and I think that was almost like this final kick to get everyone to the spot that they wanted to be at before, where their music's releasing the right way, they have the image that they were looking for as a band, they're in contact with the people that they want to be, they're recording the music, and I don't know, I just think that this is really the time that it's just been leading up to this, I think, over the past few years with all the flux that's been going on. So
I couldn't agree with you more, absolutely. Everything's been kind of boiling over, and now it's, like you said, it's an artistic renaissance. There's a social renaissance. There's a complete change in mindset that's happening, and there's a big shift in the zeitgeist and the social evolution that's coming along with it, and it's been needed for a while. There's a lot of things that have needed to die out. There's plenty of dinosaurs that have needed to die, and then make room for more progressive open-mindedness for the world around them.
yeah.
And we're seeing that. And it's usually the counterculture that comes first, and it's always through music and art and poetry, and obviously, usually they're self-reflective of social reform that's happening around them. So, I'm looking forward, not just for this year to end, but I'm truly looking forward to see what next year brings. I try not to wish my time away as I get older, but it's kind of one of those situations. I'm like, all right, 2021 can hurry up and get here so we can move on to this next shift, because I'm ready for it mentally. I really am.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very optimistic that whenever this shift comes, it's going to happen at almost the perfect time, and everyone is just going to see everything that they've been gearing up for really just blossom. I'm really, really hoping that just happens for everyone, and I'm really hoping that whenever things do open up again, that it's what we've all been kind of counting on and hoping for. That would really make all this kind of pay off, and all the suffering and just poor things that have happened, kind of.
I agree, and I think we're going to see just a lot more support, kind of like back in the day. Like, it didn't matter, like for me back in high school 20 plus years ago. Oh man, it's been that long. Oof, God.
Oh, you age what?
Yeah, I graduated in 2004, so
Okay, I'm
it's been a little while.
right behind you.
So, oh man, I was building on a point and I slightly lost my train of thought, which will happen from time to time. But that shift, like back in the day, here we go. It didn't matter who was playing as long as there was a show, and it's just got into a friend's car even before I had a license and drove an hour, 2 hours away just to go to a show. It didn't matter if it was punk, if it was metal, if it was DJs, if it was hip hop, there was live music to be had. And I think that's what we're going to see. And what I'm hoping to see next year is just everybody supporting everybody, and everybody just out there supporting all the bands, supporting all the artists, all the MCs, and just showing our support as a unified front. There's been too much exclusivity between genres, and I think people are starting to realize just how similar they are throughout all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of bands are really learning to take their time as well, and I think that when things come back, everyone's going to really want to go out, and I think that when they do go out, they're going to see super quality things happen. They're going to see super quality bands, and they're going to come back to a scene that they weren't familiar with, I don't think, before.
And we're fortunate enough in Rochester to not have like a super competitive scene. Everybody just kind of gasses each other up.
Yeah.
And it makes it all the more worth it. You see friends from bands that you didn't think you were going to see that night, and it just puts a smile on your face when you're up on the stage, and it just makes it that much more fun.
It's always random too. It's never a certain crowd, but there's always people there that you never expect to see, and that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's just whoever's around, because everyone's kind of around sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's just the way life is. So
that's awesome to hear. It definitely sounds like it's the first step towards the right direction.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, getting heavy, getting out of this world for a few moments here with my new friends in 20-something. Before we part ways, where can we find you online?
Everywhere.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Napster,
OnlyFans.
Somebody's been watching the show. They know I love a good OnlyFans joke. Do you really have an OnlyFans? Because I've heard some bands using it for merch and videos and stuff, actually.
We have a
shit.
merch store, 20something.limitedrun.com.
Yep.
Limited Run. Yep.
All our music's on there, all our t-shirts, all
Yep.
our everything's on there.
We have the same handle for everything. It's at 20something NY. We're pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to be able to check out the new track, do a little bit of a deeper dive on the first EP. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight. My guests have been Adam, Ben, and Connor of 20something out of Rochester, New York. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.